Today I'm going to talk about a martial arts book. I think I'm going to do a series of videos talking about various different martial arts books, as I've got a little bit of a collection over the years. I myself used to do martial arts very actively and frequently for the last 16 to 18 years, but recently, due to injury and just getting older and that, it's sort of tailed off a little bit, and I don't train as intensively as I used to. But I do enjoy the literature that gets generated around it. I find it very interesting to read, and they're usually well produced and well made books, with ones differing at varying ends of the spectrum for quality. So I thought the best way to start would be on one of the first books I got, which was The Complete Martial Artist by Grandmaster He Lee Cho, or He Il Cho. I've heard people of equal rank say Il and some say Lee. I'm going to say He Lee Cho for the foreseeable future until I get told differently. This book was published in 1981. It's a paperback and it's got very good binding. It is a sequel to Man of Contrasts, his first martial arts book that I've also got and I'll be talking about. And this provides a full overview of anything someone practicing a traditional martial art might need. It doesn't make any real specific reference to Taekwondo, which is his base art form. And to be honest, as long as you're happy learning different stretching techniques, kicking methods and punching methods, this is fine whatever martial art you're learning. It is not just a Taekwondo book. The book has a nice section on history of Master Cho himself and how he ended up in America. It's got a little bit on his thoughts on the martial arts, and it's also got a little bit on the history of Taekwondo and martial arts in general. This is actually written in a really accessible way. None of it gets bogged down in too much heavy text, and it's all done in words that a person can understand and read at a leisurely pace. But the bulk of the book is obviously showing how to perform techniques. It's split into sections, and it's almost as if he's teaching a class with it, because you've got a first section explaining all the different parts of the body and how they're used. Then you've got a follow-up showing different stretching methods. I think some of these still apply today, but due to it having dated a little bit, I think some of these probably wouldn't be advised or taught, but for the most part they're pretty solid. If you followed an exercise regime based just around these exercises, you'd be in pretty good shape. There's even some breathing exercises in there which you don't see very often now. Now everything seems to be focused on just doing weightlifting or press-ups, and they forget about the aspects of breathing, which is, if you practice martial arts, you know when you're sparring or undertaking any sort of high intensity work, very, very important. Then you move on to what his speciality is, which is kicking, and you get a nice set of photographs depicting all of the different kicking techniques, and there's even some there that you might not be necessarily familiar with, or you might perform in class without realising it, and he's labelled them and given you a breakdown of how to kick, and more importantly what a common mistake on most of the kicks is. For example, when you're doing a reverse turning kick, or as they like to call it when commentators see it in a match, a wheel kick, a lot of the times people will try to chase the kick, which means you throw your leg around first without letting your shoulders having got round first, whereas you should do it the other way round, so your shoulders go round first, and then the momentum and tension built up in your hips and your back should spring round thereafter, because you can see the target and it generates the force of the kick. And there's lots of nice little tips like that, and he shows applications for the kicks as well. You've got a section on punching techniques as well. This not so much of news, and it tends to focus on very sort of basic back fist, knife hands, ridge hands, those kind of techniques. But again, there's only so many ways I suppose you can hit someone. Cho himself has got a background in boxing, which is explained in in the preface. Then you've also got sections on falling and avoiding techniques, so there's some basic footwork drills in there which are quite good. And then just a basic bit on self-defense. Again, all this is fully illustrated with lots of photographs. The book is in black and white, but to be honest, you don't need colour photographs, and to be honest, it adds to the sort of feel of the book that it's in black and white. It doesn't let it date so much. Beyond that, you've got some weightlifting regimes. Again, they're fine. There's no real great detail on there. It feels like an addition to the book that wasn't necessarily needed, but it's in there if you want it, and it is called The Complete Martial Artist, so I suppose they have to include some part of that. You've got some nice anatomical drawings. You've got all the basic weightlifting exercises you would want to perform, so there's no issue with that. Then you've also got chapters on braking and hand and foot conditioning, and a nice long preface for that section explaining why you should do braking and why you shouldn't immediately dismiss it just because of how big, small or physically able you are. And he covers over conditioning techniques for the hands and the feet. He uses a board with a rope around it, as you might see with Steven Seagal in Hard to Kill, when he wakes up from his coma and he's hitting a board. This shows why you actually need to do that, and then he shows how to break the boards, and you've got lots of colour photographs, black and white photographs of that. He also shows you how to do air brakes, which is all very impressive. Again, lots of stop motion photographs for that as well. Then finally, to round the book out, you've got a sequence of photo sections showing him in his early training, him with some celebrity friends, and just training with students in various locations. And they're nice to look at. A picture of him with Chuck Norris here. Yeah, and then you've just got a little bit about his association, AIMA, Action International Martial Arts Association. And then there's a very final bit in the book about his philosophy on various subjects such as harmony, love, mind and body, power and violence. I think this is a great book. I see it on Amazon at the moment for varying prices from £15 second hand to £200. I got this for about £7 many years ago off the early iteration of Amazon, when I think Amazon first came out, and I got its sequel, The Complete Martial Artist Volume 2, for £3.50 on Amazon, and that just shows how much the price fluctuates. I don't think you get it for that price now from anywhere, and I don't even know if this book is still in full printing. That may be why the price is getting driven up. But if you like martial arts and you want a book that has everything in it, that you will find something to read in it, no matter what martial art you practice, then this is certainly a book that you want to get. The Complete Martial Artist Volume 1, that's the one where he's wearing the blue trousers on the front. If you've got your views on this, or you think it's good, bad or whatever, then please say so in the comments, and I'm going to do a series of these videos on all of his books plus some other ones that I've got in my collection, and I'll probably space them out to be released on a weekly basis. So, thanks.